Good afternoon, everybody. I trust that you are well. I have received an update from Investec with regards to the secondary stock that's available in 4 of the 7 Guernsey Incorporated Bermuda listed companies. Please just note that Investec works on a first come, first served basis. So what this means is in order to reserve capacity, we have to get the application forms in. So currently there's about $670,000 worth of stock available in Asia Pacific, just over $1 million in East Asia Growth Basket, and some £74,000 worth of stock in Advance. I won't recommend this one for the moment, seeing that there is some US dollar stock available. I would recommend that we rather go for the US dollar stock as opposed to the pound stock. And then there is some stock available in International Titans, but this one I won't recommend, as you would put about 13.7% of your capital at risk in dollars, whereas some of the others that we're going to cover now actually affords you the opportunity to get in without putting any of your capital at risk, or if we go for East Asia, only putting like 1.91% of your capital at risk. So I'm just going to focus on Asia Pacific and East Asia for today. The time left to expiry is about 3.5 years. And what we need to do is focus on these 2 rows. This one, which indicates from current levels, if the market moves negative 5, 10, 15, 20 or 25%, or versus if the market moves positive 5, 10, 15 all the way to 40%, what impact will it have on the share price, which is basically the blue row over here. So this is what we want to have a look at. So if we get in today and markets move minus 15, we don't stand a chance of losing any capital, because we will receive a positive return of 2.88% in dollars. And that is the status quo regardless of what the market moves by. If we look at the upside, if markets move 5, you will only receive the 2.88. But if markets do 10, 15 or 20, this is the return that you can expect to receive. So the maximum return that you can make over the next 3.4 years is 57.51% in US dollars. And in order to get that, the market must move 35% from current levels. If we look at East Asia, and this is with a 240% gearing to the market. So if we have a look at Asia Pacific, this is the investment that we've basically just discussed. These are the weightings to the different indices. So most of you would have watched the Britannic video, the 44-minute video that explains in detail how the structures work and why these structures are such a good opportunity to invest in. The fact sheet, however, tells you what the weightings are to the underlying indices that you invest in. So you will note here, Asia Pacific has a 40% allocation to the top 500 companies listed in America, a 30% allocation to the top 50 companies listed in Europe, and a 15% allocation to the top 225 companies listed in Japan, and a 15% allocation to the MSCI Emerging Markets Index. This is from an upside perspective, and you get a 240% participation on the weighted movement of these indices. From a capital protection point of view, your credit exposure is with Investec, as that is where the deposit was placed with, and the equity option provider was UBS. If we move to East Asia, slightly shorter duration, only 2.8 years to go, and with this you stand a chance of losing 1.91% of your capital, and on the upside, the maximum that you can gain is 52.47%. So slightly less than the 57.51 which we've just looked at, but remember the duration is shorter. So if you work it out from an IRR perspective, this will give you potentially the higher return, but remember there's almost a 4% difference between the positive guaranteed return of positive 2.88 that you can get from Asia Pacific versus the negative 1.91 in East Asia. So once again, have a look at those two lines to give you an indication of what you can expect from current levels going forward until maturity. And if we have a look at East Asia's underlying exposures, you will note that they only have a 200% participation, not a 240% participation. And the weightings differ slightly. Slightly higher weighting to the S&P 500. It's got a 45% exposure to the top 500 companies listed in America. A slightly lower exposure to Europe. A 20% exposure to the top 50 companies listed in Europe, and a slightly higher allocation to the Nikkei 225 than Asia Pacific. Asia Pacific had a 15% exposure to the Nikkei 225, and then exactly the same exposure to the emerging markets. So if you look at the East Asia and Asia Pacific, very similar exposures to exactly the same indices, just slightly different weightings to each index, except for the MSCI, that emerging markets, it's got exactly the same weighting there. But once again, it's best to have at the analysis that Investec has done to summarize the opportunity from here on going forward. So this is a very, very brief video just to make you aware of what is available. If you would like to consider these investments, please contact me, and then I'll send you a very detailed video on what the opportunity is, as well as my record of advice, in which I will cover exactly what are the risks, what are the upside, what are the mitigating factors to the risks. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. You've got my details. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend. Cheers. Bye.